Two siblings raised in the same house by the same parents grow up to handle conflict in almost opposite ways. One shuts down completely at the first sign of tension, going quiet and physically leaving the room. The other escalates quickly, raising their voice, needing the conflict resolved immediately rather than left unaddressed. Same household, same two parents, strikingly different conflict responses. The explanation, once you dig into their specific early experiences rather than assuming shared environment means identical experience, isn't really about the household in the abstract. It's about what each sibling specifically witnessed and absorbed at different ages during different family dynamics. The oldest sibling had spent early childhood in a period when their parents' relationship was going through a genuinely difficult, high-conflict stretch, loud arguments, doors slamming, tension that took days to resolve. For a young child without the cognitive tools to understand adult conflict as something separate and survivable, that intensity registered as a direct threat to the stability of the household itself. The nervous system response that developed was withdrawal, leave the vicinity of conflict, minimize exposure, wait for it to pass from a safe distance. This became a durable template. Conflict equals danger, the correct response is to exit. The youngest sibling arrived later, during a calmer period after their parents had gone through counseling and developed healthier, more direct communication habits. This sibling primarily witnessed a different pattern, disagreements that were voiced directly, sometimes with real emotion, but resolved relatively quickly through direct conversation rather than avoidance or prolonged tension. The template that developed here was different. Conflict is uncomfortable but survivable, and directly engaging with it is how it actually gets resolved. Neither sibling consciously remembers deciding to handle conflict this way. Both would likely describe their conflict style as simply who I am, and in a narrow sense they're right, since the pattern is now deeply embedded and largely automatic. But it wasn't innate. It was shaped by a specific developmental window, absorbing a specific relational pattern at a specific point in each of their lives, from what was on the surface the same family. The twist worth sitting with: this reveals that shared family environment is often a less meaningful concept than it sounds, because children don't experience a family as one static, uniform thing. They experience a sequence of specific moments, relationships, and developmental windows, and two children born years apart into the same household can genuinely absorb different operative templates depending on what was actually happening during their own most formative years, not the family's overall average across time. The practical takeaway for anyone examining their own conflict style as an adult: rather than assuming your pattern reflects your innate temperament or blaming an entire childhood in vague, general terms, it's often more useful to trace the specific relational moments, not the whole household, but the actual, repeated interactions that most likely shaped it. That more precise excavation tends to produce far more useful, actionable insight than a general verdict like "I grew up in a difficult family," because the actual template usually traces back to something considerably more specific than that. There's a hopeful piece worth adding to close this out. Because these templates form through specific repeated experience rather than fixed temperament, they remain genuinely responsive to new, repeated experience in adulthood too. The sibling who learned withdrawal as the correct response to conflict isn't permanently sentenced to that pattern sustained experience in a relationship or environment where direct engagement with conflict is consistently met with safety rather than escalation. Can gradually build a new template alongside the old one. In much the same way attachment styles and fawn responses have been shown to shift with enough consistent, disconfirming experience over time. The original template doesn't have to be the final one.